We are back for episode 3. Again, staying consistent. It's very nice to see. And this time we're going to be reviewing a very different movie than the previous two, but that's okay because we want to mix it up. And we did get a bunch of your movie suggestions. I think we got like 11 or so. So that was nice to see. So we'll start digging into those as well. And give as much of a variety as we can pretty much give. So, like I said, we're going to be doing I think I was calling it Midsommar, but when I was watching an explanation, he called it Midsommar.
I think it's Midsommar.
We'll go with Midsommar because that's just easier to say. But I kind of just want to get right into this. I'm not sure if there's anything else worth talking about, so let's just get right into it. It's a 2019 folk horror film written and directed by Ari Aster, and there's a little bit of a explanation here, but it doesn't really do it justice. It follows a group of friends who want to travel to Sweden for a festival that occurs once every 90 years, only to find themselves in the clutches of a pagan cult. So let's just go off that. What did you think about this movie?
Okay, like we normally do, I'm going to start with what I liked about it. So Florence Pugh, the main actress, I thought she did a great job.
Oh, she was amazing.
Danny, the character, was really believable in a lot of the horrific scenes and stuff. The way the movie is shot is phenomenal. I think it's like in terms of shot choice, like a lot of the symmetry or just the color correction and stuff, it really like adds on to the themes and stuff that they're trying to do. Like in the first 30 minutes when they're talking about her family, her family's tragic death and stuff, a lot of the tones are cold blue and whatever. And then when you go into Sweden, it's very overexposed, bright colors. So yeah, lots of themes there to put together. There were a lot of times where I feel like I was just kind of disturbed, where I was like, I don't know where these first 30 minutes are really going to relate at all, but they did end up paying off really nicely. But it did take me a minute to kind of get what was going on. Like, we can get into it, I guess. Like, Danny, in general, she kind of lacks empathy from anyone. And her boyfriend, it's almost like he feels
Lead
forced.
asshole.
Yeah, he feels forced to stay with her because of the tragedy that she's experienced. And yeah, he pretty much invites her on this trip out of pity. And throughout the film, like, you see the people in Sweden, they express a lot of like community or like just unity through like when it gets creepy at the end with all the rituals and stuff, like they're all moaning in unity.
And when she's crying.
Yeah, and when she's crying. And
after seeing like
yeah, and with the what's it called? When the old people jump off, when the one guy is not dead, everyone's moaning in pain because they're like, damn, this dude's not dead.
Yeah, I saw him jump like that. And I'm like, buddy, you know that's if you want to kill yourself, that's not how you jump. I thought he did it on purpose for some reason. I thought it was gonna be like something where if he survives this fall, he's some god or something. I didn't know what it was gonna be like, but then he's just a crappy jumper. And like he looked like he was in so much pain. Buddy comes over with a sledgehammer and just drives his face in.
Yeah.
But I thought this was probably the most graphic movie I've ever seen. I wasn't expecting that. Like,
it's up there. I don't think it's the most graphic, but it's definitely
in terms of like, I feel like Saw is just like graphic for the sake of being graphic, but like this is just like it's not as like, it's more creepy than Saw is because it's like they're almost family doing it to each other. And like, first of all, there was times where I thought the graphic, like the dead bodies did look a bit fake though.
Yeah.
Like I was a bit disappointed in that. I'm like, sometimes I was like, is this supposed to be a dead body?
Yeah, it's like they spent all the money on the wonderful shots and everything, but they just didn't give a crap about and I think that's one criticism I have about the whole movie is that they put a lot of money, you can tell, into the production, like in how everything was going to look and feel. But I feel like they could have done it for a better story. Not that it takes away from anything from the story itself. I just think, like, I don't know.
What do you mean in terms of story, like the actual screenplay?
Yeah, like the scary stuff to me didn't really pay off. Like a lot of the stuff that happens that is supposed to be horrifying happens off screen, and that's effective in some horror films. Like it's a salvageable tactic. But I think it would have paid off more in this film if they expanded on a lot more stuff, like Max and what's the other guy's name? Josh.
Yeah, Mark and Josh.
Mark and Josh. Yeah, sorry. Like you get like the dude. You assume the dude like cut his face off and put it on himself, which he
Yeah.
did. But that was like probably the scare to me one of the scarier parts of the film, and
That was
they
creepy.
didn't expand on it. So it's like they keep on
So like
teasing you and
you
teasing
wanted
you.
to see his face torn off? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I mean like just instead of giving little instances of scary stuff, they should have yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
I
takes
think
an
the
hour
whole
for something scary to happen.
yeah, I think the whole movie in general is supposed to be trippy because like first of all, they're on drugs the whole time. Like the movie makes you kind of like feel like you're on drugs. You're like kind of like what's kind of going on here? I think the whole thing's supposed to be, and even when it ends, you're kind of like okay. Like I think everybody's first reaction is just like what happened, like what just went down. But I'll kind of just build off what you said in terms of the stuff you liked at the beginning. I thought the way they set up shots was really cool. Like I loved how at the beginning when she's on the phone call and like she's instantly crying, she like it's just a long shot of her talking the whole time and they never switch back to the guy, which kind of would have probably ruined the flow because you can already see through his voice how he's kind of reacting to her on the phone. But for her, you get like her just full emotions and it's kind of just like impressive. And then also like the mirror shots. I really liked how when they were setting up dialogue, again, it wasn't kind of your just like your regular back and forth, like shot over the shoulder, shot over the shoulder. It was just like a long shot, and then you saw the other person through the mirror because like you didn't really need to see the other person's reaction. They were focusing on who you were looking at. So in the scene when the friends find out that she's going to come on the trip too, it it sticks on her on them the entire time. So you can kind of see how their emotions change, and then you also see that Pele, I think it was his name was Pele, right, or something like that.
Something.
Um, how he kind of doesn't mind it, and then you see her in the mirror and how she's reacts, but you already know kind of like she's awkward about it or whatever like that. So I really like that. I thought her acting was like amazing, and what I thing I liked is that I find in most movies when something tragic like that happens, like a family dying, they kind of like force the character to move on pretty quick. Like they just like their father dies and like they kind of get over it. But for her, like she's never like afraid of kind of showing her emotions. Like she's very instant. And if something triggers her, she just like lets it loose. And I think that's pretty like realistic to what somebody would actually be going through if they were if parents were in a horrible situation like that or family in general.
Yeah, no, those are all pretty good points. A lot of the other things too is like the foreshadowing. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed some stuff as the movie went on, but I'm sure it's definitely rewatchable, and we'll get into some more rewatchable movies as we go on in this. But
Yeah, there is a lot of foreshadow. Like, I mean, he talks about like killing the people at 72, and then she kind of like asked her about it, and he was like, they kind of just dismissed it like it was nothing. But then, kind of, you find out that people like jump off the cliff when they're 72.
yeah, well, and then there's other stuff. I don't know if you noticed. It actually. Uh, I was waiting for it to pay off throughout the whole film. So when they first get there, they see the bear in the cage, right? And
Yeah,
so, but before that, um, the first scene when
the
Danny
mural.
wakes up, yeah, the mural with the bear. I was
Yeah,
watching it, and then
they
I
pretty much tell you
realized,
the entire movie through pictures if you pay
yeah,
attention. Like the one scene where they're going across like the entire like whatever their imagery was, like they pretty much say exactly what's gonna happen.
yeah.
So if you pay attention, you know. But no, yeah, that part of it was cool.
Back to
And
stuff I
I
didn't
was just gonna say
really.
there was foreshadow when I just want to talk about because he keeps saying like we'd be happy to have you. So like right off the bat, you're like, there's something brewing. And then did you notice when they first get through like the sun structure, whatever, onto their site, the guy was welcoming everybody's like, welcome, welcome, welcome. And then he went to her and he said, welcome home.
No, I
Did you
didn't.
notice that? I heard that. I was like, whoa, what does this mean? And then I was watching some explanation videos, and it was like that everything, a lot of it's about control and like kind of like controlling who's going to die, but that there's also this kind of like higher being that's kind of everything's preordained. So she was always going to become the May Queen. And like, what if all this stuff, like every part of the movie, somebody just walked in my room. Each part of the movie, like, is another step to her becoming the May Queen and like becoming herself in the end, where it's like, I saw some quote. Let me just try to find it in here, but it was like, so nearly 2.5 hours later, reality has been warped to the extent that it makes perfect sense to watch Janny drugged up and dressed in this crazy outfit, saying goodbye to her boyfriend as he burns inside a dismembered bear, along with other sacrificial victims, in a giant triangular barn in the middle of a Swedish nowhere, surrounded by a cheery new family. Like, just how like her character changed, but also the movie just gets so wacky over time.
Right, and
And
I wonder if that was one thing I actually thought of, because I wonder if I would have found a lot of the things as scary if I didn't know how it would have felt to be on psychedelics through all of this.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
like what's it called? Will Poulter, like the actor he played Mark. His reaction was like so spot on.
yeah,
He's like, everyone lay down, please do it. And I'm like, oh my, that's like, it's
yeah,
perfect. And then like the reaction of like, and that's what I love. Like, she's tripping on shrooms, and then he says, this is our family. And then like the switch in mentality when you're on like a drugs thing, like your mind's in a bad place already, how that can switch. And then she runs over and she thinks those people are laughing at her, and then like she just spirals. Like, I thought it was really well done. It was also funny as well, but it was perfect.
yeah. Um, but I just think it shouldn't be like a reliant trait of a horror film. Like, that's the other thing too. We got to define if this even is a horror film. Like, I can't
Yeah,
put
I
it in the
mean,
same category as a lot of other horror films. I would say it's very like psychologically driven rather
but it's
than
also, I guess, people that are like a little more squeamish to like gore would
yeah.
definitely think it's a horror film, just because it is so graphic and like it's pretty shocking. Like, I didn't even think they were gonna jump off. I don't know why. I guess I should have saw it coming, but like, so when it happened, I was like, and like she grabbed his arm. It was like, oh, what's going down? And then she jumps. I was like, oh, damn. And their face just like flies off.
Yeah.
It's intense. But no, I
Uh,
can see what you're saying. Just because it's like, I like the fact that there wasn't jump scares for the most part. There was like maybe one or two jump scares. But because I feel like a lot of that time, that's just like a cheap buyout for crappy horror movies where they just
mhm.
make everything a jump scare, and it just takes away from kind of like the plot of the story. And I don't like, they just scare the crap out of me. So I don't like them. So I like that part of it. And I did find, though, it was paced a little slow,
Yeah.
which I guess maybe that's the way that he wanted it done, because I don't know why, but yeah, it was a little slow for me. It was a long movie, but
Yeah. So it was
and
like two
they're
and a
also
half
trying to
hours.
build up the creepiness, and I guess he's not trying to rush it either. But yeah, I think there were points where maybe things could have got moving or added little things that made it more creepy, just like to toss it in there, even though the whole thing in general is creepy, just to really punch it home.
Yeah, and that post nut clarity was hitting.
Uh, and
Uh,
like, I was just gonna say, and like the Mark, when he's like strung up in the shed or whatever after
yeah,
the
yeah.
odd like sex
Simon, that
ritual.
was Simon, I think.
Yeah, was it okay? Yeah, Simon. Yeah. After the weirdest string of events where she walks in on him
Yeah,
banging this girl in front of 10 other naked girls singing to him, and then he runs out butt naked and then runs in to see his. I looked up what it is, so it's like a real thing. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah.
yeah, and
Oh,
I'll
it's
give an
like,
A+ to the director as well, because he did his homework on a lot of this stuff.
mm-hmm.
Although it's not everything is historically
Yeah.
accurate, but it's like a lot
Yeah.
of the rituals and stuff.
Yeah, so apparently that is called the Blood Eagle, and it's
Yeah,
So it's like they're placing that, and their ribs are severed from the spine with a sharp tool, and their lungs pulled through the opening to create a pair of wings, and they're alive the entire time. So apparently he was alive in that scene.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could see it because it was like something was like I guess it was his lungs breathing, but like I didn't know what I was looking at, so
Yeah.
I was a little. But yeah, But yeah, even then, when they were looking at the face, I'm like, that looks like a fake face. But like
I know. And
everything else
that,
was done well on top, but on the bottom, I was like, it was not very well done.
yeah. And that was a big thing for me, I think. It's like, especially like when you put so much work into everything else, I'm like, why not just like
Hmm.
make it so much better and go the extra mile?
Like there was such a big difference between the people that were alive and the people that were dead.
Yeah.
Like it looked like when they were carrying them around, they were like, which also, I guess I think they were emptying their bodies as well. Like were they taking away their organs and stuff because they stuffed them with things?
So
I
I'm
think
pretty sure they were eating people, is what I think was
well,
going on.
that was another thing. How there was this meat that was rotting on the table. I mean, it definitely has to be people.
Yeah.
And then like one guy got stuffed with hay. One person got stuffed with fruit, and one person got stuffed with like branches and stuff, which I think were offerings to like this in the explanation that they're saying like offering to the gods or whatever. But yeah, it looked like they were carrying around like sacks of like rubber with like that they put a wig on. Like the hair didn't look real at all either. So
Yeah.
it was a bit disappointing there.
A couple of plot holes or like just unfulfilled plot points, really. So did like Josh? That's his name, right?
Yeah, he's the guy that takes the picture of
Yeah.
the book and gets killed.
So did he just know that the old people were going to kill themselves? Because remember they're talking about the ritual, and then they're like, "What is it?" And then he's just like, "Oh, we're gonna have to find out." And then like,
Yeah, I
what?
think that's why I think he left a lot up to like kind of just be like it's all a little trippy. Uh, yeah, I think he had read into it, and he didn't really react to it either. Well, and think about it. Right after, like, yeah, Simon and Connie kind of freaked out about the whole jumping off the thing, but like all the other people, like Danny and them, like they
Yeah,
were kind of cool about it. Like they
yeah.
weren't totally freaking out. So like that part was like that's not a realistic reaction unless these people are just absolutely messing the brain, which I guess there's definitely a chip missing. And yeah, that Josh guy, I think he definitely knew what was going on because he went back and was just worried about his like writing his paper. So he
Well,
was a bit
okay.
nutty.
And that's the other thing too. I didn't really understand the whole thing between Christian and Josh. Like I understand he was stealing the thesis, but I don't see how it provided anything because
So
none of their like beef really paid off.
so
Like
this is it doesn't need so this is the point I think the whole point of the movie was that, and I read up on like what the actor thought about it, was that this was literally just going to be a slasher film, and then the director had a really bad breakup with whoever his girlfriend was. So he said this movie is literally just it's a breakup movie wrapped up in horror. So each relationship kind of builds off Danny's and Christian's, and it's about how like it's pretty much just them breaking up in a really weird way, because in the end they officially break up by like her sacrificing him. And so pretty much I think the whole thing is supposed to be how like he's just an asshole. So his good friend came to write this paper about this place, and he's pretty much just stealing it because he's just like he's ignorant and he's just a jerk and like wants to control everything and like takes his idea, and then it kind of leads to like him getting killed as well or whatever. So
I guess I didn't really think they needed to do that necessarily. Like I still would have probably understood every other theme. But yeah. And another thing, when they first enter the village, there's like 20 other people who go with them, and you just never see them again.
those people, no, those people were part of the family because remember one of them was like
Like
they
no,
were all
I'm
coming
talking
back. They
like
were all part of the family that was coming back.
are you sure? Because I don't know if that was explained.
Well, because one of them was his friend, and then he had brought two other people, and he had brought the people because they were the only ones they needed for the sacrifice. Like
Yeah.
they needed all those people to sacrifice because they needed to sacrifice for them, for outsiders, and the rest of the people were just like other people like Pele who had went to other places and come back in the summer for the festival.
I guess maybe I'm just very dumb.
It's
Um,
possible.
yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I think you could go
Yeah,
back and forth on this movie all day if you really wanted to. There's a lot to dissect, I think.
I think it would also be even better after a second watch as well, just to kind of like wrap your head around it a little more instead of just kind of like waiting for what's going to come next. Instead, like reflect and kind of try to piece it together. But definitely interesting. It had me thinking. It had me thinking.
Yeah. Okay, and final thing, I would say the way that this film was built up was like a slasher film, or like some not necessarily a slasher film, but like a lot more fast paced. Um,
I didn't find the beginning fast paced. Like it took a bit for them to even leave,
no,
though. Like
no,
not
I'm
that.
talking about like outside, like the trailers and stuff building up to it.
Mm.
Um, but of course, that's with everything.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
definitely not as scary as I thought it would be in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little more shocking, I would say.
Yeah,
And I think it's more like the moments combined at the end and like the impact of like how it ended is kind of like then you look back on it all and I think you maybe start noticing a little more things and it's just yeah, I guess like and that's also why maybe fitting movies into genres takes away from the movie itself
yeah,
because then you kind of like oh this isn't a horror movie then like but like it's not made like the director doesn't come into the movie saying I'm going to make a horror film and then like sticks it exactly in that confined like space or genre. So like I try not to think about genres, but no, I see what you mean. It's not like a, it's different. Yeah.
it was still very good. I think everything paid off pretty well at the end. So, what's your final rating?
I give it an 8.3 because I really want to watch Hereditary now. And like it's got me really kind of like it was because I think of a movie like I've seen a lot of horror movies where it's like I watched it and right away I was like that was scary. Don't want to think about it again. It was just scary. But like I think it says something when it has you searching up like stuff about pagan cults and like thinking about the movie and kind of like processing what just happened. And also I respect that like her performance was most horror movies don't really dive into performances as well or they're just kind of like cheesy when hers was actually very believable and I thought it was like actually a really good like acting job like wrapped into a horror movie which I thought was well done.
Yeah, and I gave it an 8.1, so kind of similar there. I I was
A lot of
reluctant
plot
to
hole.
give it,
Yeah.
yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that I think could have been done better to make it even in the nines, really.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Little things could have made this movie like one of my favorites of the horror genre. Just like as of late, just like but little things that even just put into the nines. You're right. Like I just like first of all, better like what do you I guess makeup design or whatever for the dead people just to make it feel more
Yeah,
realistic. Because when I'm looking at it, I'm like that just doesn't look real.
yeah,
And then yeah, just kind of sprinkling a little more creepiness out there just to keep you on your toes throughout the whole movie.
yeah,
Because I think there probably is times where you feel safe.
definitely.
But yeah, and also just kind of more things about foreshadowing. It's like they don't eat till like she shows up to the table and stuff like that. And then I loved how the shot where from above where the one person starts eating and it's like a domino effect of people like bringing up their forks and knives and like down the table. I just thought that was a cool shot. But yeah, we can move on from that. Yeah, I think that's a decent score. I mean, it's got
Yeah,
me thinking. And it definitely could have been better. Um, simple. I feel like simple mistakes too.
I know. It's
But
like, but
that's why I think Hereditary could be.
I
I want
think
to try it out.
I've heard everyone talk about Hereditary, and they've either said it's better, or I've even heard people say that this one is better. So, it's kind of
Yeah,
hard.
it's also whoever watching and how you interpret. Like if you have all these really big like. I don't know, maybe if you loved pagan cults before and this is just totally down your alley and you love the stuff. And I like cult stuff, but maybe if you're just totally invested into it, you have all these theories, you'd like it even more as
I
well. So
think,
it just
from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure Hereditary has some cult themes in it as
Well,
well.
I
So
think so as well. I think that's where it says it has the same DNA. And well, the thing is, because I feel like whenever I see advertisements for horror movies, I never feel I need to go out of my way to watch it. And I feel like Hereditary, I never really looked into it. I just thought it was just another kind of crappy pop-up horror movie. But now that I've seen this, I'm really interested to see what he did with that one. So we don't have to do it next, but I want to do it at one point for sure.
And this takes place throughout the daytime, which is very
interesting
rare for a horror film. No, like this movie, Midsommar.
That's what I'm saying, Midsommar. Yeah. Which is different.
Yeah. So next, we got the top 5 most rewatchable movies. So movies like rewatchable, I think I put my list together for a couple of different reasons. Rewatchable as in you need to go back and catch a couple things, or rewatchable just because of entertainment and you feel like you can go in and enjoy it regardless. So number 5, I got Step Brothers, just because I feel like that movie is just like you can go and find in one joke that you didn't hear every single time until you've watched it like probably 40 times. But definitely one of the best comedy films of recent memory.
Yeah, these are in no order because, I don't know, I just threw them together. I'll go with another Will Ferrell movie in Talladega Nights. It's another one where just like, it's going to be a good movie every time. Maybe you're not watching it every weekend, but anytime you're going to throw it on, you're going to get some good laughs. Will Ferrell's hilarious. Both are good picks. They're just funny movies where you don't really have to do much thinking into it as well. It's not like things are getting spoiled for you. You're just kind of just taking in the laughs, and it's always going to be a good time when you throw it on.
Next, I have Blade Runner. So either the original or the recent one, it doesn't matter. The recent one pays off a lot more if you've seen the first one. And I think we should do that series at some point. But both of them are definitely masterpieces in their own sense, I think, because Blade Runner, the original with Harrison Ford, for its time was like a staple in like sci-fi in terms of special effects and stuff. So it's a great story. So I would I'm always down to watch that whenever. And I think for the recent one, why it's so good is because you just appreciate the special effects so much more like it. And also one for cinematography, Roger Deakins. He just always does the best job. So I think
I have the director's cut of the original too, so we could watch that.
So a lot of the stuff just that movie is just a lot more to appreciate film, I would think.
My next one's Inception. It's just like you miss a few things in that movie and you can just get in a spiral. And I think it's worth a rewatch anyways because it's such a good movie. But yeah, it's just a movie where it's confusing. You might not know what's going on, and you might not even understand what's going on after a second watch, but it's worth it anyways because sometimes you can get caught up in how confusing it can be sometimes.
Nice. Then now I have Fight Club, which that's just obviously not only one of the greatest movies, but also you go back and you
pick up the clues of
especially after your first watch, you're just like, okay, let me go back and see if there were signs that this was all just like a dream or whatever. So that's pretty much the only reasoning behind it.
I didn't have this one on my list till last night. Uncut Gems. Because I found myself, I've already watched it 4 times, and it was on last night. After I watched this movie, I watched Uncut Gems with my brother, and like I found myself
at?
a very like I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched I watched a bit of the beginning and then a bit of and then like a quarter of the end or whatever. But I just found myself like still enjoying it and going along for the ride. And I've already watched it a bunch of times, and I don't know, I don't think any movie you can watch too many times unless it's like a comedy where it's just funny, like The Office or whatever, movies like that. But it's a movie I found myself watching it a bunch of times, so I threw it on the list.
That's interesting because, like, personally, I feel like that movie is just so stressful that it's like you need to like plan it out when you're watching it. I mean,
yeah, but the more time you watch, it's not that stressful. I mean, the first time you're like, oh my gosh. That's more because you don't know what's gonna happen. But if you're just watching it just for the enjoyment of the movie, it's just like you're kind of more just like this guy's just an idiot. Like, what is he doing? But I
got Shutter Island next. That's similar to Fight Club, of course, because you go back and you learn so much more the second time you watch it. One thing I actually noticed the second time I watch it is Leonardo DiCaprio is in every single scene
Mm-hmm.
in the movie. So he is not off camera at all, which is not only an attribute to his acting skills, because that's mentally draining and physically draining to be on camera 24/7, and to always be in character. But yeah, just to kind of
It's
see
tiring.
that character build and the character arc itself a second time around is definitely worth it.
I'm going with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I count them as one movie. There's just so much to the movies where I could watch it pretty much every month and just catch little things and just get up on your lore. And I feel like there's so many things that you can read outside of just the movie itself, or even if you read the book, to add context to it as well. And it's just so damn long that like you're rewatching it, but it takes forever anyway. So there's so many different parts that are maybe you weren't paying attention to or stuff like that. But it's just amazing. So can't go wrong with watching Lord of the Rings again.
And now for the last one, I have Pulp Fiction, which I feel like that's just also very self-explanatory. You watch it the first time, you're like, what the hell is going on? And then there's this one especially pays off if you've seen a lot of other Tarantino films, because there is a very loose connection to almost all of his films. Whether it be the fact that they're in the same world, or just little things like the character Vincent Vega, I think that's his name, in Pulp Fiction, John Travolta's character, his dad is the dude from Goodfellas. So that's crazy. They both have the same last name. Yeah, and then also something else you can notice is it's the same cigarette brand in every single movie, Red Apple. So yeah, that pays off, I think, for more Tarantino fans, or also just you want to put the pieces together of that film.
My last one's Home Alone, just because I find I rewatch it every year anyways, and it's just a classic where it's fun to see him mess around with Joe Pesci and what's the other dude's name?
I have no idea.
I forget the
I feel like
talk.
that guy hasn't done anything except for
Yeah, I
Home
know.
Alone.
But either way, anytime the Home Alone movie comes on, I'll watch it.
So what's the next? What are we doing here?
Want to do Oscars?
Yeah, which year are we doing? 2017?
No, this is 2018.
2018.
Yeah, because everything moves a year ahead. Because like the Oscars for the 2018 movies is in 2019. So this is for 2017 movies.
This is where we start getting into movies that I believe I haven't seen. So it's
a little more. We'll do our best.
Okay, so let's do Best Picture then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Best Picture. Shape of Water. I didn't see it. I kind of regret not seeing it, especially around the time that it was hyped up.
That's where it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could definitely go do that. But of these films I've seen, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, The Post. Those are the 4 of the 7 I've seen. So that's unfortunate. But if I were to pick one out of the movies that I have seen, it's hard to give it to Get Out. But at the same time, in terms of original screenplay and stuff, screw it. Let's give it to Get Out for Best Picture.
I'm fine with Shape of Water winning it. It's because it's very different, and also I'll get into more because she was nominated for Best Actress, but she was really good in it. And it's just a weird story. I mean, she literally falls in love with like pretty much an alien, and it kind of has a lot of social commentary wrapped in it as well. It's just a very well done movie. I enjoyed it. Guillermo del Toro he's a dog. But also, Call Me by Your Name was good. I don't think it was added good. Maybe like it was just a little slower, I'd say. Darkest Hour was great as well. But I think just The Shape of Water, the story was different enough to make it kind of stand out from the rest. And Yeah, I didn't see three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, so I need to see that. Maybe we'll do a review of it.
Actor in a leading role. So Gary Oldman won for Darkest Hour. Didn't see it, so cannot really comment. Have you seen it?
I did. It's yeah, no, he's great in it. I just I every time Daniel Day-Lewis is in the mix, I kind of got to give it to him. I mean, I think Darkest Hour was probably just more of an entertaining movie, but Daniel Day-Lewis's performance, he literally just becomes the person. You can't really choose whether it's Daniel Day-Lewis or this guy he's playing because he becomes who he's playing. He's such an asshole in it, and yeah, I think it's just Daniel Day-Lewis is the best. And Timothy Chalamet, he was good, but I didn't think he didn't blow me away. So
Actor in a supporting role. The winner was Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And the nominees, Woody Harrelson, Richard Jenkins, Christopher Plummer, and Willem Dafoe. I
can't really say much about this. I was hoping you'd seen some of these movies. Richard Jenkins was pretty good in Shape of Water. I don't know if he was enough for a supporting role, but we should review All the Money in the World as well because I want to watch that.
Actress in a leading role. We got Frances McDermott for Three Billboards. Then we got Sally Hawkins, Margot Robbie, Saoirse Ronan, and Meryl Streep. So Meryl Streep, I think for The Post, should not be nominated for this movie.
I heard it was good, but it was just like kind of slow and boring, was it?
I've seen The Post, and my thing about it was throughout the entire movie, they just made this girl seem so dumb when really she wasn't at all. And yeah, that's kind of one thing that I didn't really like about it. And I don't think that her performance actually really deserved really a nomination, but
yeah. We should do Lady Bird as well. I heard that was really good.
I think if I were to pick one, though, I haven't seen majority of these, but I'll go Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, just because that was one I saw.
I could have seen Sally Hawkins wing it as well because I mean she doesn't say a single word she doesn't speak in the movie, so she only talks in sign language, which I'd imagine is fairly difficult to be able to express all emotions without saying a single word, which is very respectable, and that's why I'm going to give it to her and can't say anything about it.
Actress in a supporting role.
Wow. We can go over this quickly. Didn't watch. I think Leslie Manville was really good in Phantom Thread. She was kind of the right-hand woman of Daniel Day-Lewis in it. And she's kind of trying to push Daniel Day-Lewis's girlfriend out of the scene, out of the picture, and just very well done. It's a pretty good movie. It's all right. Cinematography.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Roger Deakins still for Blade Runner. It's so well done, and it captures the emotions of the film so well. And just because it's in a kind of dystopian, futuristic space, it pretty much every time you see a scene, you can tell there was a lot of work put into how he wanted it to look. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that winning. Dunkirk was good as well, but I think it's just kind of tough to go up against Blade Runner. And I mean, Shape of Water, the cinematography was good. I mean, nothing to blow it ahead of Dunkirk, which has some pretty magnificent shots, and just because the production itself was pretty crazy, the amount of people they had on set and how big their set was. But yeah, Blade Runner 2044, I can definitely see winning.
Yeah. So that's probably it for all the awards that we.
Yeah, and there's music, but I don't really remember the music enough for these songs really. So that can be it. We need to start watching more of the Oscar movies, I guess, for these years.
Yeah. So now we got a lot of you guys suggesting movies, which was great. On our Instagram page, you can go and follow us, The Relay Pod. So these are the lists that we have. We have The Room, The Disaster Artist, Birdman, The Revenant, Wolf of Wall Street, Ex Machina, Animal House.
Machina.
Machina?
Yeah, Ex Machina.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Animal House, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. I'm pretty sure that movie's like 100 years old.
Yeah, you know who suggested Animal House?
Who? Oh,
Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah.
Classic. He is an
Um,
animal.
Inception, Shutter Island, and Prisoners. This is a tough one to choose from, man.
I was excited with this list. There's a lot of movies I'd be willing to watch and you to watch.
Of the ones that I've seen, there's one, two, three, four. There's four, I think, that I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen 5 of them.
Oh, wait, hold on. I've seen The Revenant. I've seen Wall Street. I've seen Animal House, Inception. I've seen Shutter Island. Yeah, those are the 4. So, yeah, I don't know which one to pick.
So from what I wanted to see, my first was The Room. I was excited when I heard that because I've been looking forward to watch that. So I'd be willing to watch that. But I don't really care. These are all ones I'd be willing to watch.
We got to get through them all at some point, I guess.
I know.
All right, let's go with The Room then, I guess. Wait, do you know where we can watch it?
Yeah, it's on. It's you can double check, but I'm pretty certain it's on Netflix, and it can't be that hard to find, anyways.
Okay. All right. Yeah. This is probably gonna make me really depressed or terrified, but let's.
Either way, and then I think we should throw in Hereditary in there somewhat soon, just so it's on our mind.
Wait.
Like we remember.
Wait.
What?
Hold up. Is The Room? Are we talking about? Oh my God. Okay, so there's 2 rooms. There's 2 The Rooms. So Room is the one about the couple that gets, or the mom and son that get.
Room. Yes, Room is what I was thinking of.
But The Room is Tommy Wiseau, like the worst, it's regarded as the worst film of all time.
Oh, and then we have The Disaster Artist, which is based on that.
Yeah. So I don't know what they want us to watch. I can't watch The Room, man. I feel like that's just gonna be.
Oh. Yeah, because it was Liam Carruthers. He's the type of guy to say to watch The Room.
Yeah, so we're not doing that.
Let's just do Room.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Room is going to be the next film. Yeah, I feel like this one's going to make me mad depressed, but let's
get mad depressed.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.